So before we dive into this today, apparently there is no source for what we're about to walk through. This quote has been floating around all over the internet, and it seems that nobody is able to find any source material for it. However, it's extremely believable, and it's part of a lot of cycles that we see these women go through. So we are going to move forward with this video today with the assumption that this is actually something that Lana Rhoades has actually said. Again, the quote has been going around anywhere, and we're going to be talking about that, okay? Anyways, of course, you all know Lana Rhoades, one of the biggest adult content actresses to ever live. She is reportedly begging all of these different adult content websites to erase all of the content that she has filmed, to put it nicely. But as you can see, the quote here says, "I was 19, broke, and groomed." Supposedly, there was a lot more to this, but again, there unfortunately isn't anything else to work off of here. She also said that, like, I want every video gone, so my son never sees his mom like that. And he will. Oh, he will. And perhaps that could be a little bit of a lesson to all those out there making some form of adult content of themselves. And that includes as little as sending a nude, which has been more and more popular as time's gone on. That child's life is already completely ruined. He will be the butt of every single joke. Like, you guys all saw the memes, but I don't mean to make the entire video about him. I do feel bad for him, though. But the thing that's strange to me here, and I didn't know this prior to me digging a little bit deeper into this topic, watching a couple people talk about it, which it also involved having to dodge a lot of videos, okay? Apparently, she still has an active OF, and if you have the audacity to talk about how people will view your son, you're actively, continually, quite literally harming any sort of chance at a social life that he has. He was beyond screwed to begin with, but like a still active OF page talking about this stuff? Come on, man. Like, but this is the cycle, guys. An adult content actress makes their money, does all of the scenes, gets old and wants to start settling down, live a little bit normally, and all of a sudden we have something like this, or the turn to Christ. And I might make a video on that specifically one day, because as a man of faith, it's very difficult for me to deal with. You know, like the entire thing, we have to preach forgiveness, giving everybody an opportunity to change, not judging anybody as flawed individuals ourselves, which is, I understand it, okay? I want to abide by that code in my faith, but I also have a brain, guys, okay? In my heart, I know all of these girls. Nala Ray going around being a prime example. I know exactly what their game plans are. What are we to do? It's insulting to our intelligence when these girls are suddenly, like, you know, saved and reborn. Perhaps we can make a video on that one day, but got a little bit off topic. I struggle internally when I talk about these things, because what I'm supposed to do is go, oh my God, this is awesome, but I know the game plan. My point being, you oftentimes see these former adult entertainers attempt to recover their reputation to some sort of degree, and sometimes you'll end up seeing these sports or commentary podcasts, they get a deal like that, or they'll just go on different shows and podcasts and talk about anything other than the content they made with some dudes that are just pretending to care about whatever else they do and pretend to believe that they've changed and believe that they've been reborn, all while just hoping that they get in their pants later that night. They never actually escape this reputation that they build, and there's no hope for it. But I truthfully do, with all my heart, guys, I feel bad for a lot of these women. Lana could be, and like being honest here, being taken advantage of. We hear stories of people being pressured in these, drugged, and most of all, influenced from a young age that this type of behavior is okay, and that's been getting worse over time. Even in times where you're not getting paid for it. The only thing going against Lana specifically is the active Instagram and the active OF page. That type of thing, unfortunately, makes people take you less seriously. And when you start talking about how you're a victim of all of these things, it's difficult to, you know, it's difficult to believe sometimes. Also, apparently, Lana at some point revealed that she was influenced with that same thing that I just talked about. She said she was like 15. She said she was groomed to idolize adult content. And this happens with more and more people. Like, it happens with more people than you think, guys. And it's sick. Go look at any 15-year-old girl in your life, how small they are, and think about how fucked up it is that there are people who profit from getting 15-year-olds ready to just jump in the game when they turn 18. And it wouldn't shock me if we heard about people getting into the game even before they even hit that legal limit. It's screwed up. I always talk about on this channel how I hate the world that we live in right now. I hate it, man. And like, there's also been a lot of talk about like whether or not the term groomed was the proper term when describing what happened to her. And I understand the conversation surrounding that. It implies that someone forced her to, or like did something to her rather than just the influence that she had and the unlimited internet access that she had. I think it's all by design personally, and I believe that she was a victim of this type of thing, despite her still being an active participant in the industry. Her brain was unfortunately wired to think a certain way from a young age, and those types of things are difficult to break, especially when you wire it together going through puberty and things like that. But I also can't imagine how traumatic some of those scenes had to have been for her to film. I'm sure that she was pressured into a countless number of different things that she wasn't comfortable with. And I'm not sure about Lana specifically, but there's a reason why a lot of these girls end up, you just find out that they're cracked out over time. And I know what you might be thinking, okay? Something along the lines of, oh, hey, there's this like really fancy word, it's called no, use it. But honestly, it really, as much as that makes sense, it's not that simple for a lot of women. I understand the scenarios. Don't exactly have a ton of self-governance that kind of comes with age, and for some people not at all. How many stories have you heard over the years of some woman, sharing a kiss with someone or, getting intimate with somebody that they weren't necessarily attracted to just because they didn't know how to say no and they didn't know how to escape the situation? I'm not getting into today like the whole revoking consenting thing, okay? I'm not talking about that. I'm just thinking about a young woman being put in a spot like that in a professional setting. They fall to peer pressure quite easily, and I would imagine that in cases like that, a lot of them might not feel like no is an option, especially if you're like deep within a scene or something like that. And again, I know how ridiculous that sounds, but I'm trying to give a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here for the people in the industry who went in over their heads. There are a lot of women out there who will never allow themselves to go against the grain in any sort of social interaction. It's literally biologically wired into women, and it's quite difficult to break. But at the end of the day, it's a requirement for you to learn the word no and learn how to say no, or you will find yourself getting taken advantage of. And sometimes in cases like this, you're getting taken advantage of to the maximum extent. Over the years, guys, I found myself, getting a little bit more compassionate towards people who have been, taken advantage of at a young age. And by that, I mean, like, I know how that sounded, sorry. By that, I mean, like, people who have been addicted to adult content and falsely led into thinking that, this promiscuity behavior, it'll make you happy. I used to be all about, well, you reap what you sow. Like, and I still do feel that way in a lot of cases. And even in my reaction here, to be honest, like, I just think that having a daughter might have softened me a little bit in that case. I've said this before in videos, but something that is constantly on my mind is how I'm going to protect my daughter from things like this, from influence like this. It's easy to say something like, hey, easy enough, no social media, period. Until she has no friends and wants to jump out a window because she isn't able to live like a normal life with other girls. Not a clue what I'm going to be able to do there or what I'm going to have to do there. I'll have to have like a long conversation with my mom and dad about it someday, because I don't mean to sound egotistical, but they raised me pretty well. Thankfully, it's a long ways away because she isn't even 2 yet, but she might be the reason that I've been getting a little bit more empathetic towards these girls. But like, believe me, guys, my core still stands. That was very general what I just spoke about. I'm not hearing a thing that Lana has to say until that OF and Instagram content that she's doing is completely deactivated. Don't you dare insult my intelligence and use your son as an out when you are actively still hurting him to this day. That poor child, again, will never be able to live a normal life because of what you're doing. No matter what he's doing, no matter what argument he's in, and he doesn't even have to be in an argument. He's going to be sitting in class and some kid's going to show him like very inappropriate things just because it's funny. And as wrong as you may think that is, young boys will be young boys. And I know for some reason that's like ridiculous to say. It's true. They're going to behave like that. They're just going to automatically think it's funny to sit down and watch their mom, do these sort of activities. But for what she's asking, guys, for what she's asking about, like, with all these social media, or for all these adult content websites, man, I don't even know why she's sitting here asking for all of her content to be removed. I don't know if she's delusional. I don't know if she's just hoping. It's an impossible task. Ideally, we would just put a stop to all of these sites and society would, over time, start to function a little bit properly again, but we all know that's not going to happen. Some could say it's by design. Hopefully, people will just see this as a cautionary tale. We aren't far away from a society where every single girl at some point, and even a lot of men nowadays too, have produced some sort of nude content themselves and sent it to somebody. It literally never, ever ends well. No matter how harmless or how much you trust the person and how harmless it may seem to start. I can't believe the evil that I will have to shield my daughter from in this world. Wish me luck, guys. Thank you for watching.